Time is now 5 o'clock. Today is Thursday, June 23rd, 2022. I call to order the regular City Commission meeting for the City of Clewiston. Would you all stand as Pastor Smith opens us in prayer and join us with the pledge to the allegiance.
It's a joy to be with you all tonight.
Amen.
Father, thank you so much for the great provisions that you continue to pour out on our city. I ask that your presence would be here with us tonight as decisions are made. We ask that your wisdom would quicken our minds and help us to do the things that would best serve the citizens of Clewiston and beyond. Father, we ask that you would be with us in everything that we do and that we would glorify you. In the holy and precious name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Martin, do we have any additions, deletions, changes?
Item J under consent agenda, the finance director has recommended that we pull that item. There's a question about something she wants to further deal with before we bring it back to the board. So.
Okay, we'll remove item J, so the consent agenda will be A through I.
Move we approve.
Second. Motion to approve both the agenda and the consent agenda, or Mr. Pittman?
Yes.
Is your motion for agenda and consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Motion by Pittman. We have a second by Gardner. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. At this time, we'll have an opportunity for public comments, and this evening I'm going to limit them to 3 minutes if we have anyone. We have an extensive agenda, we have a presentation, and then we have a workshop tonight also. So in the purpose of making sure that we're able to get through everything tonight, I'm going to put a 3-minute limit. Do we have anyone that would like to make any public comments? Don't have to worry about the 3 minutes. Hearing none, moving on. We will go to item number 2 is the Florida Municipal Power Association update. Naveed, are you on the phone?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm on the phone.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. Mr. Jacob Williams is here. He's the general manager and CEO, and he has a PowerPoint presentation for us about what's coming up. The changes that are going on in the world and what their impact is.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mayor Peterson and the council. Anybody who would like a handout of this hard copy, please feel free to do that. I wanted to talk to you tonight about high energy prices and kind of what we in effect are trying to do about it, but I want to set the table. We are all in a difficult time now. We're in an energy crisis not unlike the 1970s. The only difference is in the 1970s, the reason we were in that energy crisis was because OPEC withheld oil from the world market, and of course everything took off from there. And energy leads inflation. If you look at the high inflationary periods, usually energy is the driver for that, and it is no different today, right? The only difference this time around is that the United States is actually self-inflicting the energy crisis on itself, and we have the energy resources, the oil and natural gas resources in the country to do it. We must. It's a question: do we have the political will to go out and bring those to market and put the pipelines in the ground to deliver it so that families can afford energy and food and the like? The impact of that is, a typical family in Florida, average family really around the country is paying about $4,000 more this year than last for energy. Most of it being gasoline, some of it being power, and not down here, but in the north, it's the home heating bills as well that come into play. And the challenge is that you couple that $4,000 with another $3,000 to $4,000 that families are paying for food, higher cost food and groceries right now. and the average family is really struggling. And we're now starting to see that fully come out. What has happened are our energy supplies, especially in the United States, have not kept pace with the demand coming out of COVID. We're not producing as much energy as we did before COVID yet. And that's a problem. We'll get into that. What that means is national energy prices are up 100 to 260% year over year. The electric bills for all Floridians are up 15 to as much as 30 and 40% year over year. And the reason why the electric bills are up so much is Florida, not just FMPA, but all of Florida, 75% of our power comes from natural gas generation. And so natural gas prices have as much as tripled. They've come off a bit, but they're still more than double what they were. Well, that price ripples through to every customer, whether you're a customer here in Clewiston, whether you're in a co-op, or whether you're with FPL. They're all going through this similar kind of pain, and fuel adjustments will be being made. Okay. This is just a chart that gives you an idea of how things have played out, and it really only goes back to January of 2021. And what we did was we put all the energy commodities, whatever the price was on January 1, that's a 1, and then did they move up or down since then? And you look at, from the bottom up, the black line being oil, it more than doubled, coal more than doubled, gasoline almost more than that, and natural gas is almost tripled. And so you see the prices; those are solid lines. That would be bad. That's the 100 to 260% increase. What makes this an even tougher thing is the world is short energy right now. The world is not producing enough energy to keep up with the demand, and so what you see happening, well before Ukraine was a thought in anybody's mind. That red dotted line is real important because that shows you what the price of natural gas going into Europe was. And to give you a benchmark, Ukraine didn't happen until February 22. Well, the world market price was already way up before Ukraine happened. Yes, it spiked up after that more. But the fact is that the world is willing to pay a lot more for natural gas than we pay in the United States. For example, in Europe, they pay about $25 to $35 per million BTU for natural gas. A year ago, the price of natural gas in the U.S. was $3. Now it's $6.5. The world market's 25 to 35. We are now exporting 15% of our supply into the world market, and that is going to grow almost double over the next 6 years. So the price of natural gas, the question you have to ask yourself is the world going to fall down to the U.S. price, or is the U.S. price going up to the world price? If you think back about oil, eventually the world oil market is kind of one market price. You don't see big differentials between the Saudis and our price. So the world is short. The United States could produce plenty of gas to meet all our needs and export, but we don't have the political will right now to actually do it about that. And we'll get into that. I won't spend as much time on this, but this is a price chart showing the natural gas prices. And what you see, and this is the forward delivery. So if you think about July of 22, that's the next month price. And then you see how the prices are out in the future. And you notice they're actually at a discount, which created a bit of an opportunity, which members of the ARP board made some decisions. But that's a unique relationship, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But let me take you through fundamentals first. A year ago this time, we set our budget to deliver power to you all basis the red line of what natural gas prices would be, essentially below $3. That's what the market was a year ago for this time. The blue line is what actually happened starting in October, where we were at $6, down to $4, up to $6, down to $4.5, and then up to $9, and now we're back down in the $6.5. So prices are moving all over, but that is why the rate increases that all the cities are going through and every customer in the state of Florida is, because You could you could maybe work off reserves for a little while, but the price now is too high and you're out of reserves and having to raise rates or do the fuel adjustment clause. This helps everyone understand what is going on in the United States, and I'll focus your attention on the red line. The red line is the average monthly natural gas production in the country. And we'll go back to like October of 2019, where the red was at its highest. Gas prices then in crude oil then fell. So that's the high water mark. And then of course you see a couple drops, the 2020 and early 2020 COVID. So the production declines for that. And then there's another sharp decline that occurred in February of 21 when the big storm, winter storm Uri hit Texas and they lost supply. But the point of that is if you look at the red line today, it's no higher than it was in 2019. We're not producing any more gas than we did back in 2019, but yet the demand for natural gas in the country has increased in the power sector, has increased in industrial processing. You think of supply chain shortages, a lot of the industries, they use natural gas chemical feedstock. They're not going to shut down. And then we're exporting more and more gas all the time. So we must have the will to actually increase production in the country. And the second piece to that story is this chart, which is it shows you how many rigs are in the field to drill new oil and gas wells in the United States. And that's the red line. And you notice again, 2019 it peaks. It drops off significantly during COVID, and it's only worked its way back to 70% of what it was back in 2019. And that's a dilemma because we need more production, and yet we're not putting the wells in to keep pace. So in the United States, we've got two fundamental problems. One is we need more wells to be drilled, and that comes in two forms. One, in the western U.S., where most of the land in the western U.S. is actually owned by the federal government. If you don't have leases to actually go drill, you can't drill, and there's nothing more you can do. So we need to restart a lease sale. That program ended in January of 2021. The program went on 50 years. They just keep leasing out more land in the West, in the Gulf, and in Alaska. That went full stop come January 2021. The second area that's a focus is the United States has increased the shale gas development in the country, and 40% of our gas today in the country comes out of the area, West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, called the Marcellus and Utica plays. 10 years ago, that didn't exist. So the low gas prices that we've all benefited from over the last decade were a direct result of the shale developments in the East. Here's the problem. That area could continue to grow massively if we have the political will to do that. And there, the problem is they don't have enough pipelines to get the gas out to the market areas. And we need more pipelines in place. There are several that have been under permitting. And frankly, one of the famous ones is a line that goes from West Virginia to the Virginia shores, 300 and some odd miles. It was 25 miles from being done, and a federal judge stopped it. It would have brought 2% more natural gas supply into the country. But the producers aren't going to put more wells in if there's no place to put the gas. They need a home to do that. So that's when I say the political will. These are big policy issues that go on in that. The last thing I'll just point out in natural gas, and this is the difference between natural gas and oil and gasoline. Natural gas, there's essentially not very little of the demand for natural gas is price sensitive. And what I mean by that is if we need natural gas to serve electric load in Clewiston, we'll pay whatever the price is to serve the load. We're not gonna come up short, and all that. The same in the industrial customers right now. They're going to produce the products because they're so far behind on supply chain issues. They don't care what the price is. They're going to pay it. And then you look at the last two sectors there, residential and commercial. That's all home heating. Well, for the next 6 months, that doesn't matter. But in the wintertime, if it's really cold in the north, you know, you might keep it at 62, but you're going to run the heat. That's different than oil and gasoline, because in oil and gasoline, if you look, 67% of our oil is used in transportation. That is very price sensitive. And, you know, you pick your price point. Is it $4, $4.50, $5, $5.50 gas? Somewhere along the line, people stop driving. You start to change their behaviors rather quickly, right? So the concern for us is that the natural gas, which is what the power markets, especially in Florida, depend upon, unless we increase production, the price is going to just go up, and we're going to pay it. So that's an interesting problem to have here in the country. This is a storage report. It shows you how much gas is stored. They store it in some fields. It's at the low end of the range, which leads to higher prices. Nothing shocking there. So let's get into what we're trying to do to help mitigate, because so far this isn't a good story at all.
I was just sitting here like, he's a barrel of good news today.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been doing this about every night for the last month or two.
Hate that for you.
But what we were able to do is, if you look at what was going on, the prices, if you look at May of 23, so that greenish area, the square area there, you notice there's a big drop in prices. And so the executive committee, of which Lynn is your voting member on, she's always on the call, the executive committee decided that, you know what, I can deal with, let's say, a power price of $90, $95 a megawatt hour, 9 cents a kilowatt hour. We'd love to deliver 7. But we're 90, 95. But I got to stay out of the 12 cents a kilowatt hour wholesale cost, which begets a much higher retail cost. And so the board has locked in some pricing for starting next April in the high fives, right at $6 range, and then in the low fives for the next year, which is a wise way. They're not trying to say, hey, I know the market, I'm going to beat it. It's a matter of saying, we need some price stability. Customers can't take 40% swings in a year. And so the board has made that decision, and Lynn was a part of that discussion over the last couple of weeks here, and it's moving on. So that's one thing that's doing. Now, it doesn't solve the problem between now and March. The high prices are what they are, and we're going to have to deal with it. What we do, though, is we've been working to save around $30 million a year through various things. Our power costs this year are going to be $130 million more than we expected. So all the savings the teams worked at $30 million a year in savings doesn't offset the $130 million increase because of fuel prices. But I'll take you through a few of them. We typically run our plants at very high ability. That saves about $8 million. This year we're going to be a little short of that because of the way the plants are run. We do prepaid gas contracts and some capacity things on the gas side. We're now up to saving $7 million a year over what. And then the other big one is we're selling all the excess power that we have saves around $12 million a year to the membership. And that is ongoing and growing. And then some debt refinancing we've done. So we're pulling all the levers we can, but we're beholden to the gas market. Florida doesn't produce any natural gas. We're beholden to the U.S. market. I'll skip through some of this and just go. This gives you a sense of if gas prices are $3. We would generally love to be able to deliver to you all at $70 a megawatt hour or less, 7 cents a kilowatt hour. That's equivalent, right? And that's what we had done. The last 2 years, we were under 7 cents a kilowatt hour. We were in the low sixes and all that. This year, at $3 gas, it'd be a bit higher. Part of the reason is because the coal prices are also up. So we get about 15 or 12% of our energy from the Stanton coal units. Well, they've almost doubled in cost this year. They're caught up in the same problem. I'll spare you the details of that. So we're around 73. But if we could lock in $6 gas, you at least guarantee you're under 10 cents a kilowatt hour. It got as high as $9.50. That was $120 megawatt hour power, or 12 cents a kilowatt hour. and we're just trying to avoid the jump from 7 to 12 cents, because that 5 cent differential is essentially a 50% increase to all the customers. And so that's what we're doing, and that's what the board has been charging us to do, and they've executed very nicely. Just to give you an idea, the prices of natural gas, this shows you March 1st, it was just over $4. By April 1st, it was up to $6. By May 1st, it was up to $8. It went as high as $9.50, and now it's back into the $6-7 range. So things are flying around rapidly, and we're just trying to manage and get some stability. So with that, I'll stop there, and obviously there are implications for why the fuel clause adjustment's going up. I'll stop there and answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Does anybody on the board have any questions for Mr.
Well, Jacob, it's not a pretty picture, as you said, but there's not anything that we can do about it. I mean, the decisions are being made that are impacting, our community, our residents. And you're right, I received several phone calls already, as everybody got their power bills, that their power cost adjustment was more than their electrical cost, the electricity they ran.
Right.
So it is, in some cases, doubling already their utility bill.
Yep.
And so I know that those are, self-inflicted policy decisions that are being made in D.C., not here, of course. Mm-hmm. And inflation is, almost at 9%. So it's just a crazy times we're living in, unfortunately. But I know that in the past, the Utilities Department has posted on our website and sent out information about how anybody, whether they're individual, residential or commercial, how they can save on, by being smarter in the thermostat. Is there any new materials that FMPA has come out with that we can share with the community that, we can't change the energy cost at this point?
Right.
We're trying to manage it as well, but is there anything that we can additional that we can send out to everybody that they are aware of? This is what you can do at home. Raise that thermostat a little bit more.
Yeah.
Check your windows.
Yep.
Check your doors.
Yeah. We have developed some things that the communities, first of all, the communities wanted to know the why prices are going up. Mm-hmm. So that was a part of the conversation versus, and then the second part is what can you do? We do have some materials like that. We don't spend a lot of time on all the details of what you can do, but I'll break it down to something that's real simple. Most of our energy consumption in Florida is the air conditioner. Mm-hmm. With the new lights that are put in, lighting load is almost irrelevant. So it comes down to, is your air conditioning, is your control system, do you set back the temperature? So if you're not there in the middle of the day, let it float up to 82 or whatever. Yeah, we want it comfortable at night to sleep. We all want that. But if the house is empty, that's the single biggest thing you could do that really moves the needle. So and to the extent you've got a more efficient air conditioner, but that means people have to go spend money. They got to find equipment, not much equipment around. So right. Not sure that works real well, but simply managing that thermostat when you're not there is the biggest thing you could do.
Randy, I think it would be a good idea for the city to put out something for the residents, because I did see a lot of folks venting, if you will, on social media. And I think that the city kind of catches the brunt of that, thinking that we're hiking this bill up. I don't know why.
I agree, and Lynn,
but not necessarily a press release,
yeah.
Not necessarily something with a lot of words.
Yeah, we've done some of those, but
graphic that
Lynn might, if she could comment just a little bit. We've just had a discussion about marketing our AMI upgrade, because we don't want people to erroneously believe that our changing out of meters and everything is driving the cost of their utility.
But they need
we
to
just had a meeting
understand
about
why,
that, explaining that. So, Lynn, would you mind commenting? We met with on this week with a group of Jacob's staff and discussed that very topic. So it's timely the board mentioned it. But for the public audience listening and those present and the board, could you give a couple of words about
You might
that?
want to go to the microphone
Yeah, go over that so we get it recorded.
Recorded.
Sure, Jacob don't mind giving it up for a second.
So our AMI contract with Census, there's provisions in there for marketing what we're about to do to change out all these meters. And Ryan Dumas, FMPA, is the communications, public relations person there. And he's been very proactive, wanting to help us get a communication plan ahead of the implementation, the deployment of these meters. He's going to help us with the landing page. He's going to help us with the marketing, the postcards, the door hangers, and particularly the social media.
Yeah.
And we're going to play it out over 8, 9, 10 months so that people understand, the benefits of these smart meters and the cost savings for our operations. And hopefully we'll communicate that real clearly.
But my concern is more immediate. Like Susie, who I saw post last week that she received her light bill and it was $800 versus $650. Why is my bill $800? Where's the city putting this extra money? Yada yada yada. A nice little org flow picture of this information that you just presented. That's something, for folks to consume, but people eat with their eyes, not so many.
And specifically to that point,
Not a presser,
what we've talked about is doing something more immediate that would distinguish between the efforts, but also explain that exactly what you just said, that the power cost adjustment, that portion of the bill doesn't even come really to the city. It's a pass through. It goes directly to offset these costs that Jacob's just described, and that we don't have any discretion over that. And unfortunately, very little FMPA does, and other than these efforts that Jacob's just outlined to try to cost control into the future. But we do plan to do something much quicker, and FMPA has given us, I think Jacob did something last month or so on that very topic he might want to comment on, that he sent out to membership to use. But some of it's in his report.
That'll be awesome when we get ready to start doing that communication.
We've got a number of communication tools, but Hillary, to your point, we do want to work up some very visually engaging things that are on.
There are the words. Thank you.
You want something that you can look at in a second, you understand the issue.
Yeah, they're not going to scroll through this.
Right. But if you had a couple slides or a couple things that they could look at. So we're happy to work on that, and the team is working around the clock. The last thing that I did not mention, and Lynn would get mad at me if I didn't mention, because we had talked about it. You do have one thing that is working very much in your favor, and that's your ownership share of St. Lucie nuclear plant, because its cost is actually continued to come down. We talked about power cost in the hundreds of dollars a megawatt hour. St. Lucie is 50, and in the mid 50s. It's going to be even lower next year. We just approved the budgets, and so your ownership there, it was tough early on, but now it's very much a nice thing, that does reduce your power cost here. So great decision made decades ago.
For us.
Well, it's unfortunate because the majority, if not all, the power consumed in Clewiston is made an hour down the road, or a mile down the road, I should say, and has nothing to do with oil. It's produced with no oil.
Right.
But because the gimmick of utilities, the hands that has to exchange, we pay those high prices. I don't think the residents even realize that our power comes from U.S. Sugar. It's sold onto the grid. It's sold 2 or 3 times back in other people's hands, and it never leaves our community. And it's unfortunate for us.
Before we close, Mayor, I don't want to nip the discussion, but I want to be sure to recognize something. And Jacob's like me; he doesn't want heaped praise. I've recognized that in his leadership. But I listened, and I know Lynn participated online today to 4 or 5 hour board meetings that they had on these very topics, representing our interest as members of the association. Having had experience in another utility association, municipal in another state, I can honestly say that I have been greatly impressed by what FMPA brings to the table. He didn't pay me or ask me to do this, but in Florida and in this region, and as our community representative in keeping abreast of this, because a utility our size could never participate in a program that would help us lock in prices 2 years out,
Right.
or even buffer those. And so I really, on behalf of the city, from an administrative standpoint, I know Danny and Lynn and I grapple with it constantly, is want to thank them, and his staff is unbelievable what they do for us in so many ways. They've led us through this AMI project. They've been our partner on that, and their sole interest is to do whatever they can to benefit their membership. And I really appreciate that, and I know he is vested and done a tremendous job in leading the organization during the last several years, and I appreciate him coming tonight. Even though we had at first thought we were going to be dealing with the board having to make some judgment calls and decisions on a fast pace to try to deal with this, but he and his staff and legal beagles figured out a way to do it quicker and more beneficial to the whole organization as a collective group, and through the ARP and other tools, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And, you know, I'm going to look back at Mayor Peterson and Molly and a few others. I remember the first time I was down here in 2016. And you and so many other communities made one point real clear. Cost of power is the most important thing. And if it's high, it's not good. And so we truly do manage that. And I tell the team all the time, if we do our jobs well, there'll be 2 million Floridians who will have more disposable income, a higher quality of life, because they won't be paying so much for electricity. They'll never know their names. They'll never meet them. But the fact is they can do some good. And the team rallies around that. And as Randy said, we are blessed with a team that is very strong and trying to work hard. I wish we could solve the gas problem. Trust me, when I'm in D.C. and all that, we make our voice heard because Florida is so exposed to the natural gas market. There's no choice. We don't have an alternative down here. So
Nuclear.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, Mr. Williams, your diligence on behalf of FMPA in standing up for all of us, and your collaboration with AMI to bring all of those pieces together is just very much appreciated, and the searching for the solutions.
Yeah.
So for all of us, yes, thank you.
And Naveed is a key piece who's on the phone.
Yes,
He was a very
Naveed.
key piece in all that, working with Danny and bringing the wisdom that we've developed. So I want to make sure Naveed heard that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Naveed.
Hear, hear.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Mr. Williams? Any other comments?
Thanks, Jacob.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Have safe
Safe
travels.
travels.
He's heading back to home. So
All right, moving on. Agenda item number 3 is resolution number 2022-041, and this approves the special exception request from U.S. Sugar Corporation to allow the parcel located at 1300 South Francisco Street fencing for cattle with stipulations. The applicant, United States Sugar Corporation, requested a special exception be allowed to fence in a 6 to 7 acre portion of the industrial zoned lot located at 1300 South Francisco Street for livestock. City Planning and Zoning Board met on June 1st of 2022 and recommended approval of the request with the following stipulations. Number 1, special exception to expire 5 years from the date of approval. And number 2, landscaping to be maintained to prevent overgrowth along the fence and adjacent right-of-way. The vote was 4 yeas, 0 nays. Board member Mickey McGahey was absent. Do you have any citizen comments as to resolution number 2022-041? Hearing none, there is no financial impact. The recommended motion is to approve resolution 2022-041. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Thompson, second by Pittman. Any commission discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item number 4 is Resolution 2022-042. This approves the Hinterland Group Change Order Number 2 in the amount of $23,330 to correct a typographical error on the June 21st, 2021 contract. And that failed to include the $23,330 in funds for approved alternate number 1 regarding the East Ventura roadway rehabilitation from South Dean Duff to South Francisco Street project. Do we have any citizen comment at this time? Hearing none, the financial impact will be $23,330. Recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-042. We have a representative from the engineering firm here in case we have any questions. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Gardner. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Heisloop. Do we have any commission comment?
Madam Mayor, since the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items have to deal with the same topic, I was hoping that Joe could come forward and just give an overview of the project and
Sure.
the timeframes involved, because it is a big project and we've gotten a lot of questions on the timing of it. So since if you could start us out just with the overview and where we're at.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Joe DeBono, Johnson Engineering, thank you very much for having me here tonight. So, as the Commissioner had suggested, we'll just kind of lump these in and I'll run through it and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you all may have. So, as you see tonight, there are several items here in front of you regarding change orders related to the project. Now, just to take a very quick and brief history on the project, that Hinterland was selected for doing the SCOP or FDOT roadway portion of the project along East Ventura. And then the prices came in somewhat extremely favorable and the city made a wise decision and actually jumped on those unit prices and created a change order number 1 to include the phase 2 or the drainage portion of the projects, which kind of branches out onto the ancillary roadways. And that was actually funded through an FDEP grant for water quality. So Hinterland has actually been on track and is moving forward, and with these change orders, I think it increased it to a total of 12 extra days that they are claiming on top of their base bid, or base contract, I should say. So along the project, there have been several delays incurred, in which that's presented in front of Commission tonight, a couple of which were related to a private utility, as well as some public utilities being in the way as well. So where we're at right now is that there are a total of 5 change orders in front of Commission, 2 of which are CenturyLink related, 2 of which the other ones are actually for a water main issue that was experienced on separate occasions. So as it stands right now, the contractor is actually on track, and there have been a couple of extras, especially with the last change order number 6, where there was a conflict that was actually discovered along the project due to some exploratory measures in which the contractor has provided some proposal broken down per line item for consideration for tonight.
The time frame, I mean, you said extra 12 days, but what are we looking at?
So total, it was 200 and I think it was 210 plus those extra days. So they're basically looking at, it started in February. So we're actually looking at sometime in, I can't get you an exact date right now. My apologies. I don't want to misspeak on that one. But it was just increased only by a little bit more. That's all, by the 12 days.
There's, so this summer
30,
is what,
so, yeah.
in August for
Still
time frame.
7 to 8 months.
Right.
Sometime in August,
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
yeah,
That is
okay.
correct.
August,
Are
September.
these costs covered through the grants, these change orders? Because a couple of them look kind of like I would dispute them if I was paying the bill, but if it's covered by the grant.
I know the last one is covered by the stormwater grant, but that's the larger
I
one.
mean, was there contingency in the grants and the contracts to cover this, or?
Mr. Martin?
As I recall, I know the last one we had funding left over that will cover that, and that was totally grant funded, as I recall.
Yes, sir.
the drainage one, which is 046 resolution. The others, I don't recall exactly how close we were to the funding, but there were two sources of funding on that, and I'll ask Sherry to, over my shoulder if I misspoke, or we had the grant funding from the state, the SCOP money, and then the city balanced it out and paid the difference from our street funding. And I don't recall, I do believe we had some contingency amount in there. Do you recall off the top of your head? But I don't believe this will necessitate a budget amendment beyond what we have. We will evaluate that and bring it back if it does create one. But these smaller ones, the typographical error does not, I'm sure of that, and that's the larger amount of the money. That's the 23,000 that the mayor just read and reviewed. The others are less than $7,000, so I believe we're fine on those.
I mean, all five of them are a total of $52,473.
And at least the 21,942 I know is grant funded, and
Right,
then
so that
the
brings it
23 was calculated into our award calculation, and we had adequate funding set aside. So we're very close, but I don't think that will put us over.
Most likely, there's more to come.
It's possible, yeah, because a lot of this is, somebody asked me about why these conflicts. Well, the reality is we're an older city that's got utilities that have been in ground for decades that weren't platted as built plans. And what was it we talked about, Joe? I think there's a phrase, generally as built is probably a more accurate. And
Kind of as built.
Yeah, kind of as built or whatever. So the potential is there.
I understand there's going to, on a project like this, there's going to be change orders, but I'm just going to skip ahead to 6 because I know we're going to buzz through these once we finish chewing the fat here. Lost time due to exploratory evacuation to locate a CenturyLink line. I mean, if CenturyLink marks a line, they tell you it's 3 feet either way. So if you have to look for it, that's just common knowledge. So, that's why if taxpayers are paying for the $900 because they had to take a few extra scoops of dirt slowly so they didn't break the line, if this was in the public sector, they wouldn't be getting paid for that. Is what I'm saying.
And there's two.
Unless there's another explanation, I don't know, which there could be, I guess.
And Danny,
I don't want to get hit at the end of this job that lasts another, 3 or 4 months or 5 months, and we get hit with another, $900.
Two of them are CenturyLink already.
And
Shouldn't that be passed through to CenturyLink?
Danny, you want to comment? I know he's had in discussions. Joe
It's
has.
a holdup because of them.
I will say this: they have had a long time to take care of some of the conflicts, the known conflicts, and they have been a real bear to deal with. In
They
their
being
response.
CenturyLink?
CenturyLink, and they're a real bear to deal with. Danny's had more direct discussions with them than I have, but there are industry standards for how far they can be within a certain scope. If you want to comment on that, Danny, and any that Joe wants to add, I'd appreciate it. You may want to go up there.
Some of these changes, it is CenturyLink. I kind of agree with you. Danny Williams, Director of Operations. They are a hinder to us right now. They're slowing us up on the Trinidad Park area. They want us to, we're trying to get them to relocate a cable. We're looking at a different type design maybe that we can get around them. We're kind of looking at that also. The 900, I kind of agree. I will look into that. I mean, 35 years with the phone company, I know they can take it. So I'll look at that one myself.
I mean, on a job. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just, the problem I have with the phone company right now is we gave them a year and a half and they did basically nothing. So when we started this project, there's cables that started popping up on us. And these cables were supposed to have been abandoned. So what's happened is Hinterland's taken it upon themselves because they don't want to sit here for days and wait on, because they have a 48-hour period, your locates, to come see you. Well, they're not making that right now. They're having issues, USIC. They're coming in 4 or 5 days. But what I've told these guys, if they don't show up in 48 hours, you can cut that cable. That's the policy. Because you gave them their 48 hours time. If they don't come, you can rip it out and they have to fix it. but we were running into that quite often. And it ended up some of those cables were abandoned. So, but that was our delays, and that's where they're scraping and looking.
So
They are with the marks. These guys did mark the dead cables. That's a problem to me. You don't mark dead cables. That you put on there, this is a dead cable. You notify the guy, the Hinterland guy that's on site. They're not communicating that well with us. I think I'm going to make a public statement. I'm not really, and I'll let Mr. Martin know I haven't. Erdman Anthony, I'm not real pleased with. Some of the work that's being done. Joe and I went to a couple of sites, and some of the work was not, it was substandard work to me. And we're paying somebody to stay on site and look at this stuff. Basically we were supposed to stay back. At the beginning, I was getting phone call after phone call on this job, which I told Joe, I said, Joe, I'm getting more phone calls and we're paying this outfit.
Better
Phone
CEI.
company's calling me.
They're a CEI.
The contractor's calling me. What about this cable? What about this? That's not how it works. So that started at the beginning. And so that's kind of what we got. But I will look at this one for sure. I did notice that one, and I didn't really, that's, again.
And there's two, item 5 and item 6 are both CenturyLink.
Yeah.
Does this fall under the CEI, or does it fall under, Joe, this portion of the project?
Yeah.
The first
To mitigate this.
5 through 7 is under the CEI for the DOT funded portion.
I mean, if they're on top of the project, you should be able to avoid issues like this. And if it is, you should advocate for the city and pass it on to CenturyLink, not pass it on to the city.
Well, I've not received a phone call from them.
A project this big, to me, $900 passed on to the city is nitpicking.
Yeah.
The CI, well, like I said, keep things moving along and pass this on to the contractors and CenturyLink, not the city.
This is an outgrowth, this is an outgrowth for the legislature a few years ago implemented for DOT projects that you have to have a separate engineer for
Oh,
the CI.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, but in
They need
this
to do a
particular
job.
case, it's hurting us because of the performance. But that's something we can deal with. We don't have to use their services in the future. And
That's they established that for a reason, a very good reason.
yeah,
But if you pay somebody to do a job, I would expect them to do it.
but I will have to say the construction side of it from Hinterland is on top of it. We're doing, I think, a good thing. We don't want them to nickel and dime us to death through the rest of the project because of these third party conflicts. So Danny and Joe and Andy and I have had a long conversation about it, making sure that we, one, engage the diligent efforts of the CEI, but also work with the contractor to do what Danny just said. Don't wait.
Are they
Once you've given them
communicating this
notice,
with you
go.
at all in advance?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not, no. These guys do. Yeah, yeah, he's very good. Actually, he bugs me too much. No, he does really good.
By the way,
He's great.
Andy had a personal conflict tonight, or he would have been here. But we thought it was a good time to let Joe take the lead. So,
Absolutely.
Threw you under the bus, did they?
And I spoke with Joe earlier today, and he answered all of my questions I had for this today.
But I have a question about CenturyLink. I mean, they have a franchise. They're supposed to be providing services in the community. Is there not anything, from a legal perspective that we just need to let them know that we're not, as a community, what we're having to go through and not being able to finish a project in a timely manner? I mean, I know it's only 12 days, but the costs are adding up. Is there not some kind of notification that we can give them that we're not receiving communication from them and we can't do business like that and we can't believe a company like them is doing business in this manner? Is it because we're a rural community and they're small?
Since you brought it up, this is a different topic that the attorney and engineer and staff is actively discussing, particularly given this particular third party, the CenturyLink. I don't want to get into it too much tonight because there are legal implications, but whatever degree Dylan wants to comment on it, I'll defer to him. But suffice it to say, you will be hearing more on this because of the status of of our arrangement with CenturyLink. I'll lead you with that, and you can go as far as you feel like.
Right. So I'll just comment generally on the Florida statutes. There is a built-in requirement for whenever a municipal authority is doing work that generally a utility provider, upon reasonable notice, is responsible for moving their utilities and accommodating the municipal authority. Generally, I don't know what the current practice is. If we say do we give a notice now currently, that a certain 30-day notice, or is it more of just an email? Hey, we're doing work here. We need you to move your stuff. And do we put a timeline on it now
In this particular project, it was very lengthy. It's over a year, as Danny pointed out.
Yeah.
And we did that in writing and in other methods. And it's been a persistent follow-up, too, because we got more concerned as the project became imminent, the startup and so forth. And then we bid it and awarded the contract. But we'll go back and share with you the particulars of what notice was given. And where we're at with this one is the city entered into some agreements many, many, many years ago on some of these things. And they weren't with CenturyLink, they were with the parent of the parent of the parent, in some cases of companies that don't exist anymore. So we've asked Dylan and the engineer and staff will be looking at that as to where we go from here. We'll look at it specifically on this instance, but suffice it to say, there were long-term agreements entered into. I don't remember what year, but they have expired. I'll let that sink in for a second.
There may not even be any framework for those lines being within the city.
So we're probably going to be in a negotiation for a new agreement. That's what I'm saying.
We can charge
With the
them higher
current
tap
company.
fees.
Right.
Well, let's just keep that one in your thoughts, and we'll see what happens because this project's going to be long done before we complete that.
And no successorship clauses in it.
Nope.
And I appreciate that the Hinterland went slow because they knew that by cutting those cables, the customers would not have
Well, that's it.
their
That's
service.
their
And
answer. They don't wanna-
that I appreciate that, and I'm glad that we took care of the community.
Yeah.
But this, to me, what I've heard tonight, that isn't working, and it's got to be addressed. So I'm glad that you guys are looking into it.
Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
But good discussion.
But at the end of the day, we need to get these approved so that Hinterland can
Keep
recoup their
working.
money and we can
Well,
figure out how we want to
I don't know
recoup
whether or not-
I don't
ours.
think $1,800 is going to hurt them. I think we should table those two when we get to them, just to make a statement.
Okay.
And that way, I've learned over the years that if you have more than one person pressuring, so if we have our engineer, we have our director, and then we have the contractor, all three pressuring CenturyLink. Not saying we're not going to pay them the $900, but that for just to make a statement, let them know we didn't approve those two. I'm just throwing that out as an option.
Is that a motion to table 5 and 6?
Yeah, I'll make it a motion then.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Pittman to table items 5 and 6, Resolution 2022-043, 2022-044. While we pursue conversations with CenturyLink, it is seconded by Thompson.
I don't know that I love that, and I'll just tell you why. Because I feel like all they did was what staff told them to do.
Well, I'll say this, if we're going to try to pass this on to the utility, why would we pay it now?
And I don't disagree that the utility needs to pay it, but I just don't know that it's appropriate to make another company be on the hook for it.
When CenturyLink should be on the hook
Right.
for it. Right.
Right. Like we're just passing that buck
Well, this
and
wouldn't be putting them
burden.
on the hook, this would just be postponing the decision.
I mean,
But they've already done the work, and they've already paid other people to do the work, so it is putting them on the hook.
Well, just as a potential compromise, I don't think a 30-day, do you think, Joe? Do you have any great heartburn if the board tabled it till the next meeting for reconsideration once Danny and Joe have further communicated with all the parties? Because there may be other things we got to discuss. What do you think, Danny? On the two items, the $900, it's not like it's a huge amount of money.
Right. Yeah, I'll get with Chase. He's that big guy with Hinterland, and I'll tell him what we're thinking. But to me, if CenturyLink caused the problem, CenturyLink needs to pay. That's my thoughts.
I agree.
Yeah, but I'll assure you, we won't get an answer on that in 30 days.
Right. No, it's going to take
that also-
9,000 forever.
I mean, I don't know about contractors.
The bigger picture
I
with
think it
them.
puts more pressure on the utility as we just pay the contractor and it's done.
And CenturyLink for $1,800, I don't know how much pressure we're going to put on them,
Right.
but I think that Hinterland did a good job in trying not to cut the cables, because I think we would have heard a lot more complaints about how bad the city job was going because everybody didn't have cable on the south side of town.
They're doing a very good job, by the way.
Yeah, and so
they're literally doing exactly what staff asked them to do.
We're paying them, we're not paying CenturyLink, and I think we can, through our attorney, we can make a better statement to CenturyLink that we're a rural community and we feel like we've been just completely ignored as a fishing and farming town. I mean, that's it. I mean, we're small compared to who they serve on either coast, but I think we've had a good working relationship with Hinterland. They've done the job. I think we need to pay them.
I agree.
And I know maybe 30 days isn't going to be a problem. And I think at the end of the day, CenturyLink should pay. But I don't know how much pressure $1,800 is going to do on CenturyLink.
Keeping track as we move forward, and there are more of these, we may get attention a lot more quickly.
If I could actually just make a point, working with Hinterland, not only on the drainage portion, but also working with them in lieu of Erdman Anthony's presence on the project, we've been trying to work with them and work around some of these conflicts and keep them moving forward on some other portions of the project. If it's floating them from project side to the other side, just trying to work with them. And with these exploratory line items that you see on those table item or motion to table those items, that was mostly just for them to dig back far enough so that way they could create enough deflection in the line to go above or below the storm structures that they're trying to install, as opposed to waiting, as Danny had mentioned, waiting days on end for CenturyLink to come out. So Hinterland is trying to keep things moving forward without a lot of delay, really. So I just wanted to say that as a
And we
reminder,
appreciate
that's all.
that effort.
Yes.
So we need to vote on Commissioner Pittman's motion?
Motion to table items 5 and 6. Resolution 2022-043 and 2022-044. So all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So we have 2 aye and 2 nay. So in the interest of breaking that time, I'm going to vote nay.
Okay,
The
so-
motion fails to carry.
Right.
Let's go back to agenda item
I think we're on 4, maybe.
4. Yeah, we're on number 4.
No, I think, didn't we go under, under
You
4?
haven't-
Yeah, you're right.
4 was approved, I
Right.
believe.
It will.
No, we haven't voted
second.
on it.
Yeah.
We haven't voted on it. We have agenda item number 4 was the 23,330. That's resolution 2022-042. That was a typographical error. We had a motion to approve by Gardner. We had a second by Highslope. Is there any more discussion or questions on any of these? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. 5 and 6 we've dealt with. Let's move up to agenda item.
No, we hadn't dealt with them now, yeah.
We
I
got to go
guess.
through and
No,
vote
they
on them.
weren't tabled, so
Yeah.
now we have to
Oh,
deal with
yep, I'm sorry. Forgive me. All right, so agenda item number 5, resolution 2022-043, and this approves Hinterland Group change order 3, $900 for CenturyLink Lumen communication lines, as we have just discussed. That's in the S35 drainage structure. Financial impact is $900. Do we have any citizen comment? Hearing none, the recommended motion is to approve resolution number 2022-043. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Highslope, second by Gardner. Do we have any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
And that's 3-1. Commissioner Pittman dissenting, and motion carries. Agenda item number 6 is 2022-044. This is another $900 financial impact. This would approve Hinterland Group change order number 4. And this is for time lost for the cable location for CenturyLink Lumen Communications at the S58 drainage structure. Again, the financial impact is $900. Recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-044. We have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Gardner, second by Highslope. Do we have any other discussion?
Randy, are we going to look into recouping these funds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's clear.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
We have 3 aye, 1 nay. Dissenting as Commissioner Pittman. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item report number 7. This is Resolution 2022-045. This approves Hinterland change order number 5 in the amount of $5,400 for the alteration to proposed stormwater pipe invert elevation due to water management conflict for the East Ventura roadway rehabilitation from South Dean Duff Avenue to South Francisco Street. Do we have any citizen comments on this resolution at this time? Hearing none, the financial impact is $5,400. Recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-045. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Highslope, second by Gardner. Do we have any discussion?
Joe, did you verify these hours?
Yes, sir, I did. That was in confirmation with the CEI, Erdman Anthony, with this, and it did coincide with their daily reports as time lost.
So this fell under the CEI, not?
You're correct, sir.
Grant.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments by the commission? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 8 is Resolution 2022-046, approves Hinterland Group change order number 6 in the amount of $21,942.35. And this is for the addition of 90-degree elbows to the existing 4-inch and 2-inch water main to deflect under the proposed stormwater pipe and the addition of a T-fitting and gate valve for the adjacent fire hydrant for the East Ventura roadway rehabilitation from South Dean Duff to South Francisco Street project. Do you have any citizen comments at this time? Hearing none, the financial impact is $21,942.35. Recommended motion is to approve the resolution. Do we have a motion?
This is the grant funded portion,
Yes.
right?
Correct. The stormwater, and this did not involve the CEI separate.
Okay. Sorry, I'm
Johnson
okay.
Engineering.
Commissioner Gardner, were you motion to
Second.
approve? Second by, I'm sorry,
Second.
by Pittman. Thank you. Do we have any other comments by the commission? Questions?
Once again, Joe, you reviewed these costs?
Yes, sir, that is correct. And I actually went back after our conversation earlier today, and I did a little bit of research on my own.
Me too.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's reasonable.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 2022-046 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item number 9 is Resolution 2022-047, and this approves the contract and First Amendment to the contract for the bridge over the C-21 canal. This was dated May 6th, 2022, between ZEP Construction, Inc. and the City of Clewiston for construction services in connection with the bridge over the C-21 canal project. So the commission approved the award of the project to ZEP and authorized the mayor to sign the contract pending approval of the contract by the Florida Department of Transportation on March 21st, 22. After approval by FDOT and the execution by the city, ZEP added language to Section 10 of the contract relating to the potential concrete supply issue. And it was noted during the bidding process in the pre-con meeting and in their proposal under attachment G. Because FDOT had already approved the agreement language when it was executed by the city in March, the language that was added to the agreement executed by ZEP has been removed and is included in the First Amendment. Do we have any citizen comments as to this resolution? Hearing none, recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-047. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Pittman, second by Gardner. Commission discussion, questions?
I just have some questions. I mean, it's related to the actual project and then the Herbert Hoover Dike project. I mean, I'm understanding that the Herbert Hoover Dike project is finishing up. I mean, there's no activity up there right now. When will they release that to the city?
Actually, the last update that we got from them, by this time this year, they would have already been out of there, essentially. So we haven't heard any other correspondences from them. I know that ZEP is in current discussions with the Water Management District, specifically the right-of-way department, and we would be getting an update from them because we're going to have ZEP secure the site and actually work with the contractor that still has their construction fence up and some other additional equipment that's still out there right now.
The reason why I'm asking, Joe, is because the trail's been closed for almost 4 years. And I realize that, going up there and walking and cycling isn't, a safety issue, and it's not, creating the new, just additional activity. It's just a community. I mean, you can go up there right now in the evening and you have at least a couple of dozen people already up there. It would be more if there was access going towards the west. And I was just hoping that there was a window of opportunity, for the community to enjoy the scenic, lost up there on the top of the levee before we close it off again for the project. Because the project could take up to, 400 days? 400, I think is what I read, 510 days. And so, just a breather, so to speak, I know you don't have the answer tonight, but is there any way that you can find out for us, or the staff find out for us, if there's going to be a window of opportunity for the community to enjoy that area until the bridge project starts up?
I can give a brief update on my last conversation recently with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers coordinator for the HHD project. His understanding is the contractor is preparing to take out the temporary crossing, I guess that would be west or northwest of the current crossing and northwest of where our bridge project's going to go. It's been there throughout their project. That's going to be coming out soon. But before they do that, they're going to remove the fence that has been restricting access, or at the same time. And that should be happening relatively soon. And his indication to me was that then the trail west of us and northwest of us, further in that direction towards Moorhaven, if you will be reopened. I think they've still got some maintenance on it. I haven't been up there. I don't know if they finished their paving back and so forth, but that should be happening in the next few months. Timing wise, I've heard that from Corps and their contractor for a year now. But they did achieve it, but it just seemed like it always slides. And so I hope that's true, that they're going to take that fence down soon. They're going to have to move it for our project, and that's what we've been discussing.
Up on the levee, there's just two orange stretchy little sections there.
It could be that part could come out until our contractor starts, but at some point we will be blocking it.
Sure.
On a major portion of the current recreation area that's within the contract footprint, if you will, with our contractor. They're ready to mobilize as soon as all of these last details, like we've dealt with tonight, this item, are dealt with, and all the approvals are in place with DOT. And we're very close on all of that, I believe. Joe's been very diligent in keeping in touch with DOT because they have to approve modifications to the contract and so on and so on, since its funding is being channeled through them from the legislative appropriation. But it is a reality that that portion of the Lost Trail is going to continue to be closed throughout the duration of our project, which hopefully won't take nearly the full amount of time they allocated. But Joe can comment on the coordination for this project, given you got the federal, state agencies involved and DOT and water management and the Corps. But we're very close to Trevi Icos releasing completely their interest. Well, we've actually already got it released in the recreation area, so we might can temporarily do something with them. We'll follow up. But Joe, if you want to comment on the length of time associated, this is what it was bid upon, and it accommodates many of those approval processes for things that occur. But I'll leave it to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. To Mr. Martin's point that the ZEP contractor in this case, part of that access to that trail does fall within their project limits, and per contract they do have to keep their project area secure. If it's something that we can work with them on, if there's an ulterior route for your residents to actually access that pathway, that's something that we can work with them on, especially if there's a chance between Treviacos vacating and ZEP coming on.
Yeah, and once they're on site, there's no way.
Yes, ma'am.
But yes. in between point, that's all I'm asking is that if there's a window of opportunity for it to be used by the community, then that would be great. If not, we'll have to wait 510 days.
In terms, I did also discuss, so I didn't add this in, going east or southeast towards Belglade and South Bay area, that there's a potential that will all be open in the very near term. That's a different contractor than Trevi Icos, and I haven't been up there, but you would be able to access and go east through the Corps property once that is opened up. So that'll likely happen much sooner than our portion. Because there will be no further construction in that direction on that side of the access point to the lake. There won't be anything going on.
You can find that out too, because it looks to me like they're still ongoing up there.
Well, they are. Their contractor is still doing some but I have noticed they've been removing a lot of the equipment going east, and it's much less activity level. And as I understand it, they're very close to finishing up their obligations in that area. So it could be that at least in that direction, that could be open sooner. It sort of cuts against us. I'm looking forward to them removing the access point east of our bridge location, west of our bridge location, the temporary. But that's going to eliminate the ability for anybody to go that direction once they take it out, because they'd have to cross at our current crossing. And there's going to be very limited activity. We'll keep some as long as we can, like we did with Trevi Icos. They let us access it, the public portions of it, but they're not going to be able to do the full loop that they're doing now once the bridge gets going.
Have we awarded the CEI for that project?
Yes, Stantec.
That is correct.
I think y'all did that a couple meetings ago. Mm-hmm.
Just making sure it was a different.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments by the commission? So this is Resolution 2022-047. We have a motion by Pittman, a second by Gardner. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item report number 10. This is Resolution 2022-048, and this creates a Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Services Advisory Board. Do we have any citizen comment at this time? Hearing none, there is no financial impact. The recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-048.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Thompson, second by Pittman. Do we have any commission discussion or questions?
Mr. Martin, is there, I called myself looking for it and I may have just missed it. Is there something in there about living inside city limits?
They have to be city residents by, I don't remember if it's in our code or.
Okay.
The charter.
Yeah, as I recall.
Okay.
Unless
Thank
it's
you.
a board that's set up differently.
What is it?
Sure, I can't remember.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
that if there was a time like 12 months or that they had to live?
12 months prior to.
That would be, I guess, an interpretation of the board, but I would presume they'd have to already be in if you establish, if it's in the charter or code that they're required to be city residents. I think they'd already have to. I'll defer to Dylan if he disagrees with that.
Yeah, I do believe that there is a provision within the charter, and I think it is 12 months.
Yeah, we can check that, but
Okay, thank you.
And I just have a quick question about the 5 regular members. Are we accepting applications, or are we going?
you haven't until you adopt this,
Okay.
but then we'll immediately.
So it'll be out of everybody who's interested. We then just select 5 to serve.
Well, yes,
Okay.
that's what's recommended.
Okay. And
I think y'all had agreed on that during the workshop when we discussed, or the meeting we discussed it. Y'all said mirror what the commission had, 5 members, and that's what it was built on.
Right. Yeah. And I know I had asked Randy for the elements of our comp plan in regards to recreation and open space element. And this is something I had discussed with him and Travis on another topic, is that our comp plan was adopted in 1991. And we amended in 2015 for the EAR, I think is what it was. I don't remember all the state requirement, but we really need to, and I was going to add that as one of our follow-up items. We really need to have a serious set of workshops to look at our comp plan to update it, because it's a tough thing. And I know we had a planner that used to help us, but we need to really come up with some decisions. And I had already talked to Randy about that. But, it's a 1991 plan.
Don't sound that long ago.
For your long-range planning stops in 2025, so we should already be starting that process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll be seeking funding from, I think there's some grant resources to help us with that process in the near term, to hopefully fund assistance, because it is quite an undertaking to update a comp plan. But there's no question the plan needs updating. Some of it's dated, some of it's just technical aspects. But in this particular area, for example, it only speaks to the comp plan, which is logical, related to facilities, open space, things of that nature. But it shouldn't speak to programmatic things. But that's why I have that reference in on comprehensive needs. That's something you can make a judgment on beyond the comp plan requirements. And that should, in my opinion, be more focused on programmatic. And with this new board and with the next thing I'm going to announce at the end of this, I believe we're in a better position to undertake a comprehensive needs assessment of our parks and recreation and leisure services, programmatic needs. I'll stop there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion or questions? We have a motion by Thompson, a second by Commissioner Pittman. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're going to hold here for a minute, Mr. Morton.
First, I'd like to thank the commission members all collectively, and particularly those that have made this a priority to get this done. We sometimes get pulled in a lot of different directions, but the commission made it very clear to management and staff that this was a priority for you, that Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Services are a priority for Clewiston. That's reflected in the comp plan stuff that I reread after Commissioner Gardner asked me that question she asked, and it emphasizes that it is a priority, and it always has been collectively for the city of Clewiston. I'm a personal, very strong advocate in my professional realm of Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Services throughout my career, and one of the key components to that is something else that the commission has been very interested in seeing move forward, and that is to make sure we have competent, qualified staff to fill out the positions that we have. And in that regard, I'm very pleased tonight to announce the appointment of Lauren Collins McGinnis as the new Director of Recreation and Leisure Services for Clewiston. Ms. McGinnis is a Clewiston native with a variety of relevant professional experiences, education, and training that will be an asset to the city's management team and well position her to lead the city's efforts in this important service area of responsibility for the community's recreation and leisure services. Ms. McGinnis was chosen for the position from among 52 applicants considered during a lengthy and deliberative selection process. Ms. McGinnis had expressed her enthusiasm for the opportunity to lead Clewiston's recreation and leisure services efforts and will begin her service with the city in July. Upon assuming her duties and responsibilities, the new director will be stationed at the recently renovated Charles E. Weatherall Youth Center facility located at 110 West Osceola Avenue. That's a press release that I'll be releasing after tonight's meeting. And just to give you a taste of that enthusiasm briefly, hopefully, given the length of the meeting and the topics you're covering, all of which are important, Ms. McGinnis agreed to be here tonight, and I'd like to recognize her to come up and make a comment.
I feel like we need a cheer.
Welcome, welcome.
I am thrilled and honored to accept this position. I am so excited to come and give back to the community that I've grown up in. As Mr. Martin said, I have worked in education for 9 years. The last 3 years have been in the nonprofit realm, focusing on scholarships and grants. And I am thrilled to bring that knowledge and that expertise back home.
Excellent.
We're excited to have you.
Lauren.
Glad you're here, Lauren.
Wishing you all the best.
And y'all are not going to let her off that easy, I hope. I did want to defer to the commission if they had any questions or if you have any comments on this endeavor, but I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
I look
thrilled.
forward to working with you.
Give my regards to your husband, please.
Thank you.
Hit the ground running.
Yep, she will too. All right, moving on. Agenda item report number 11 is Resolution 2022-049. This approves the appointment of Electa Waddell to the City of Clewiston Community Redevelopment Advisory Board. They shall consist of 7 members appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the majority vote of the City Commission for 3-year terms. There are currently 2 vacancies on the Community Redevelopment Advisory Board. Mrs. Waddell has applied to serve on the board and appears to be qualified. Do we have any citizen comments at this time? Hearing none, there is no financial impact. The recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-049.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion by Hyslop, a second by Gardner. Do we have any commissioner comments, questions, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Mr. Martin, could we get a list of who is currently on that board?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Clerk will glad to send you a updated list.
Agenda item report number 12, Resolution 2022-050. This accepts the resignation of Keith W. Davis and authorizes the mayor to execute a professional services agreement for special magistrate services with B. Douglas McGibbon, PA. City is in need of a special magistrate services due to the resignation of the City of Clewiston Special Magistrate Davis. Financial impact is $200 an hour for special magistrate services, $100 an hour for travel time to and from hearings. Do we have any citizen comments at this time? Hearing none, the recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-050. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Hyslop, second by Gardner. Commission discussion, questions, comments?
He looks qualified to certainly be a magistrate after reviewing his resume. So thank you for the recommendation.
Is that the same rate as the prior magistrate?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, we're lucky. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item report number 13 is Resolution 2022-051. And this authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement for city attorney for the City of Clewiston, Florida for legal services with Brandenburg Legal, PA. City is in need of legal services due to the passing of our city attorney, Gary Brandenburg of Brandenburg and Associates, PA. Dylan Brandenburg is reorganizing Brandenburg and Associates as Brandenburg Legal, PA. entering an of counsel relationship with the law firm of Davis and Associates, PA, and proposing to continue to represent the city as city attorney with the resources and attorneys of Davis and Associates, PA, under the same terms of the February 20th, 2017 contract between the city and Brandenburg and Associates, PA. The financial impact is $250 an hour for legal services and $125 an hour for travel time to and from meetings. Do we have any citizen comments at this time? Hearing none, the recommended motion is to approve Resolution 2022-051.
So moved.
Motion by Thompson, second by Heislope. Do we have any commission questions, discussion, comments? Hearing none, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, welcome. You're stuck with us. You're ours.
Thank you, commissioners.
Yes, yes, yes. Our to-do list, our done list. Do we have any comments on the action agenda or completed items?
I don't like that it's sideways. I'm just saying. Always gotta.
That's the only concern you have. We're
Right.
doing well.
I just wanted to add the comprehensive plan. I mean, just as a reminder that we need to get it done. I know it's an old one, and we've got some long-term planning through 2025, but as we can see, years go by fast. And we need to really set some time aside to address it.
Okay, so we'll add that to the list.
Any other questions, comments,
Do
discussion?
we have an update on our old police station building across the way here? Anything new?
Since our workshop, I'm trying to remember if there's anything new.
Structural person looked at it?
Yeah, that's where we left it, and at this point, the interested party potentially for next year, I've had a preliminary discussion. They've got a new executive director coming in, and we met, and they're still interested as a potential medium short-term lease, but they want to walk through the facility, and as soon as the new director is in place, which I think is the end of this month, we're going to plan a walkthrough and see what their level of interest is. This is an agency that's currently located within the city that's got to find a new digs, and so I will follow up with that and keep the board apprised of where that's at. Currently, we're using the rear portion for storage, and that's the only use we're making of it with the fire department, so nothing's changed on that. But I will report back on their either continued interest or lack thereof, and then we can discuss other options. But thank you for bringing it up. I'll follow up.
No problem. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Take a look at the budget reports. Do we have anything there? I think it's very refreshing when you ask the police chief, how are we doing with animal control? Are we full? And he says, oh, we have 76 animals right now. That he's got that information right at his fingertips. Ask him about call volume, he'll tell you the same thing.
What a contrast.
By the way, they're very close to wrapping up their building improvements that they've been doing in-house and some with donated equipment. So I've been trying to keep the board apprised of that, but we still intend to. I know Tom's looking forward to having an open house there real soon. So that means he's done, he hopes. And so I don't know, you have an update on that, Chief?
Not much. We've been Tom Lewis, Police Department.
As far as the animal shelter goes, we're finishing up hopefully tomorrow on a couple of side shade roofing structures. Before we had some old ripped up tarps kind of thing, so this is going to be a little more structurally sound and a little more permanent. As far as the police department goes, we're almost finished the flooring project. The whole supply chain thing has definitely kind of hit us. So purchasing some thresholds and some base moldings and things like that are a little bit on back order, but probably about 90% complete, if I had to guess, 80 to 90% complete of the flooring. The exterior painting project is done. You've probably seen the rock out front. Taylor Electric actually yesterday just fixed the lighting on the overhang, so at nighttime you should see a nice blue glow. Definitely kind of aesthetically, again, just a little pick me up for next to nothing as far as money goes. Other projects, we're converting the EOC over from utilities building over to the police department. We did get some donated furniture, nothing damaged or anything like that. This is good quality furniture from the Collier County Sheriff's Office, who was doing some remodeling. So we should be picking that up next week. We've done a complete overhaul in dispatch. We could go over project after project, but I would really honestly encourage anybody from the public or from the commission to come down. I'll give you guys a personal tour. The entire place is different.
It actually looks like
looks great.
like an emergency operations command center.
Yeah, the inside honestly is looking as good as the outside, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I owe the chief a phone call because last month I brought up about the reports and he has reached out to me about the reports. I just haven't had time to organize all my thoughts, but I'll get back with you. And then again, Travis, I see this month we still got dead people pulling permits. And I know that it's a program that we have, but we really got to do something about that, Randy. I mean, these people haven't been dead just yesterday. They've been dead years. Yeah. So every time I see them pulling permits, I just, we got to get the information right. So
the information's right. They put an application and signed it. So if they've
Opal Hancock just pulled a permit for her house.
Yeah, if someone pulled that one and see, we'll turn it over to the police department. You're signing legal documents.
I mean, but that's
Are you serious?
That's the report.
I mean,
Yes,
do you
if
not
you
require
sign
a driver's license or anything
They
to?
require a notary, so they had to have a notary.
I mean-
if that's the case, I'll look into it.
They're on here that 720 Cortez, Opal Hancock pulled is the owner of the property.
Yeah, if it's an owner builder, then someone had to
But
force that.
Well, we need to look at that because this has been happening every month. So, okay, so.
I was speculating, I don't want to speculate too much, but I wondered if it was tied to the county tax records on some of those
That could
things.
be just a glitch the way our system pulls it. I'll verify that.
We need to look at it because the property appraiser's office does have the new owner listed. So,
It could be a glitch.
okay, so we need to look at that because this happens every month.
I'd hope that would be the case over the dead person doing it or the someone doing it illegally.
Thank you. I appreciate you looking into that.
Thank you for bringing it back up.
Could be paid by
We
check.
got left behind.
Any other comments on the monthly activity reports? Comments from Mr. Martin, City Manager.
Nothing to add. I've talked enough tonight, I believe. Till we go to the workshop.
There you go. Our City Attorney, Mr. Brandenburg.
Only that next commission meeting, I plan to give a short presentation about some of the 2022 legislative updates that have occurred. Nothing that I think would require any ordinance changes like the home-based businesses last year.
Right.
But there were certainly some interesting ones that came out of this most recent session.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Thank you. Thanks. Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
got anything?
Yes, I'm glad Tom's still here. Tom, our noise ordinance. If you could come up, I've received, and I know that the police department's been contacted. Several neighborhoods, I think new people moving in, loud music. I know our ordinance says that it has to be 10 o'clock at night before they have to ask them to stop it. But what I'm just trying to figure out is that the people that I talk to have been in these homes for decades, and somebody new moves in, and they can't even have dinner because the music is so loud next door. And this is like at 6 o'clock in the evening, 7 o'clock in the evening.
Sure.
And I know that there's also Florida law that also has disturbance of the peace, and it has something about music. I just don't know if you could review our ordinance, talk to the city manager and to the city attorney and see if there's anything out there newer, because this was done a long time ago. And I don't know what the state law is currently. I know it seems like every year they're changing state law, but I just know that the peace of our neighborhoods, I know for specifically several different neighborhoods, are being impacted by new neighbors coming in and with a disregard for the peace of the community, that folks can't even watch TV because the music's so loud next door.
Sure. I mean, first and foremost, doesn't matter what time of the day it is. If you have a problem with loud music or any other type of noise, call the police department. We will come down. We'll make contact with the quote unquote offending party, and just we can typically broker a nice resolution in between parties that won't come to such a heavy enforcement end. The unfortunate thing is, even when it comes to 10 o'clock and we start issuing citations or we're looking at criminal violations of breach of peace, things like that, it ultimately creates an even worse situation for the neighbor that had the problem in the beginning, but now you're going to have a massive neighbor dispute that goes on for years and years and years.
Well, I think if there's any way that can be brokered, diplomatically by the police department, I think it's important, because I know neighbors don't want to rat out other neighbors, and they've gotten to the point where this has been going on for almost a year, and so they've put up with it as much as they can. And
when they call, they can remain anonymous. That's not a problem. Okay. But if again, when you start to talk about enforcement angles, having an anonymous complainant gets very difficult.
Right. But I mean, the police officers are riding the neighborhoods, I'm sure, with the windows down, because I do see them, so that if they hear music, loud music, they're going to probably address it without a call.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, not a problem.
All right. But I still would like for us to look at our ordinance again and see, because for some reason, when the folks call me, they say, they can't do anything till 10 o'clock at night. And so I just want to make sure that we're addressing the concerns before 10 o'clock at night.
100. If we get a call or if we come across it ourselves on our patrols, we're definitely addressing it. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is.
Okay.
I don't want to speak on the legal end of it. I'm sure things might have changed, but I know in other communities they've gotten into issues with quote unquote decibel meters and whether or not decibel meters can be calibrated, and you're really gonna go down a road that I'm not really.
Well, I don't know what state law
not really
says.
Sure you want to.
Yeah, state law is just disturbing the peace, and I don't, and so that's, if you guys could look at it, I appreciate it, because again, a lot of this is coming on from new folks moving to the area,
sure,
not knowing, it's been a very quiet neighborhood up to that point.
I'm with you, and we're more than happy to educate them.
All
for
right.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anything else,
No,
Commissioner Carter?
that was it. I'll wait for the workshop.
Okay, Commissioner Heisler?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Thompson?
Just excited about this new board and new director. Having some things for our kids to do this summer. It's been a long time coming, but just excited about the future. I also wanted to talk about commercial vehicles within city limits. I know the city's already put something out, but it's got way out of hand. I was going around Sugarland Circle last week, and there was a semi with a 53-foot trailer parked in the middle of the road. Our roads aren't built for heavy traffic, those weights, and our roads are in horrible shape the way it is. Weekends and nights, especially weekends, they know it. I think we should put somebody working weekends, whether it's the police department, or add somebody on to code enforcement to handle weekends and nights, because they're well aware of what they can get by with. You ride around town on the weekends, there are semi-trailers or tractor trailers everywhere. Not just on the industrial side of the town, it's on the north side too. So if we could do something to reduce that or eliminate it, we're trying to stretch our roads out as long as we can before we have to repair them, and they're many are in need of repair as we speak. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner Pittman?
I didn't have anything, but that spurred a question. Treviaco started our road repairs from their activity on Aztec and other roads. And if you do go read our code, and Debbie can correct me, there's only certain roads in the city that certain weight vehicles are supposed to use to travel from the highway to Aztec. Don't ask me to quote them, because I don't remember. One of them is Francisco and one's WCO, and there may be a couple of other ones. Anyway, long story short, how is our road repair coming? Or, I mean, I don't see them doing anything yet, but is that moving along to repair roads? I know we took videos before they came to town and.
We've had some communication, but we have not reconciled all of that to my knowledge. Travis, you have any update on that? But we'll follow up and let you know where we stand on it. But I do know that as their project begins to wind down, that was a consideration. And as you said, we've documented, and we'll be going back to them to make sure they're in compliance with their permit commitments. Is that a 2-year, Travis? Do you call? The permit, we issued a permit and it had conditions, so we will go back to that, look at it. Thank you.
I just remember Commissioner McGahee, when she was on the commission, really harped to get something in writing, which we never did. And here we are. The project's over, and I just want to make sure that we do all we can to get our roads back into condition that they were. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin, I'll look into that.
All right. Yeah, I know we have that. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, and we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back for the workshop. Second. We have a motion by Pittman. We have a second by Gardner. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We will reconvene at 6:50.